My name is Sienna Reed. My adopted sister, Jade, a ruthless corporate lawyer, manipulated our dying father and forged a new will. She stole my $20 million inheritance and the family company, Reed's Pantry, leaving me with nothing. She evicted me from my own home. Broken, I sought out Marcus Thorne, a disgraced forensic accountant my father had once trusted. Together, we forged a new identity for me, Isabelle Laurent, a brilliant, icy art curator from Paris. I trained for months, learning to walk, talk, and think like a corporate shark. My goal: get hired by Jade to helm her new artisanal rebrand of Reed's Pantry and destroy her from within. Walking into the headquarters of my father's company as a stranger was a special kind of torture. The lobby still had the same terrazzo floor he'd chosen, the same mural of rolling wheat fields. But now, there was a giant, cold steel logo that spelled out Reed in a brutalist font. Jade's doing. She was scrubbing away the warmth. My heels clicked on the terrazzo, a sound that was now Isabelle's, not Sienna's. I was wearing a severe black Alexander McQueen suit, my hair dyed jet black and pulled into a tight chignon. Non-prescription glasses with thick frames completed the look of an intellectual predator. The interview was with Jade and the board. I sat across from her, my posture perfect, my face a mask of cool appraisal. She was even more formidable up close, her eyes scanning me like I was a balance sheet. Your work with Laurent and Sy is impressive, Ms. Laurent. Revitalizing a dying champagne house is no small feat. What draws you to a packaged goods company like ours? Her tone was slightly condescending. She saw art curator and thought decoration. Perfect. Then I said to her, Ms. Reed, or may I call you Jade? Every great brand is a story. Your father's story, the jam recipe, the family farm, is a compelling one. But it's buried under 40 years of grocery store mediocrity. My interest is in excavating that story and selling it back to a public desperate for authenticity, for a high price. I saw a flicker in her eyes. I had spoken her language. Profit. Leverage. I was criticizing my own father's life's work, and it felt like swallowing glass, but it was working. Jade said we're looking to pivot. The legacy lines are a drag on margin. This new artisanal line is our future. Then you need someone who understands that the future is a carefully curated version of the past. I can give you that. I got the job, head of creative for the Reed's Pantry artisanal division. I had a corner office, a staff, and a direct line to Jade. The ghost was in the machine. My first week, I played the part perfectly. I was demanding, brilliant, and slightly unapproachable. I spent evenings with Marcus, going over the financial data he was slowly siphoning from the company servers. Marcus said, "She's smart. The embezzlement is layered. She's not just taking cash. She's setting up shell companies to overcharge Reed's Pantry for supplies, then funneling the kickbacks to an account in the Caymans. She's bleeding the company dry while making it look like rising operational costs." I told Marcus we need more. We need something that links her directly to the new will. And we need to find out what really happened to my father. He said, "I'm working on it. In the meantime, start your sabotage. Make her trust you, then make her fail." My sabotage began subtly. I was the perfect, loyal lieutenant. I worked tirelessly on the artisanal line, but I made small, strategic mistakes. I accidentally sent a confidential marketing plan to a lower-level employee who was known to gossip. The plan, which included discontinuing the classic Grandma's Peach Jam, that was my father's first product, leaked to the press. There was a public outcry. Loyal customers started boycotting. Jade was furious. She stormed into my office. Jade asked, "How did this happen, Isabelle? This is a disaster." I apologized and said, "I am so sorry, Jade. I must have clicked the wrong email address. It was a terrible error. But perhaps we can use this." Jade asked, "Use it? How?" I said the outrage proves the brand has soul. We can issue a statement saying the document was an early draft, that we would never abandon our roots. We'll look responsive and caring. I can draft it. She eyed me, suspicious but desperate. She agreed. The statement I wrote was a masterpiece of hypocrisy, full of phrases my father had loved. It worked. The backlash died down, and Jade started to see me not just as an employee, but as a strategic partner who could fix her messes. Her trust in Isabelle grew. The trap was set. Marcus had hit a wall. The will was expertly forged. The embezzlement was well hidden. And my father's medical records showed nothing but a simple, tragic heart attack. There has to be something. He was healthy. He was happy. He was talking about retiring to paint with me. Marcus said, "I've been through everything, Sienna. Emails, phone records, financials. Unless she confessed in a diary, we have nothing that directly ties her to coercion or worse." I refused to believe it. I went back to my father's study in Willow Creek, now Jade's meditation room. It was stripped bare, but I remembered something. When I was a child, we had a game. He would hide little notes for me in a secret compartment in his old desk, a compartment that was part of the original woodwork, not a drawer. The desk was gone. I called the company that handled the estate sale. After some pressure, they told me the desk had been purchased by a local antique dealer. I found it there, covered in dust in a back room. I bought it for a song and had it delivered to Marcus's workshop. We pried up the false bottom of a small drawer. Inside wasn't a childhood note. It was a digital voice recorder. My hands shook as I pressed play. My father's voice, weak but clear, filled the room. My father said, "If you're hearing this, I'm gone, and Jade is likely responsible. She's been stealing from the company for years. I confronted her today. She didn't deny it, she said. She said if I changed the will in her favor, she would stop. She said she'd expose financial irregularities I was unaware of and pin them on me, destroying my legacy. She said Sienna was too fragile to handle the truth, that it would break her. I'm so tired, I feel unwell." She brought me tea. She never brings me tea. The recording ended with a soft thud. I sat in stunned, horrified silence. It was proof of coercion, proof of her motive. Marcus said, "It's not enough for murder, but it's a start. It links her directly to pressuring him about the will." Then Marcus had his breakthrough. He'd been analyzing Jade's personal expenses. Said, "Look at this. 6 months before your father died, Jade made a series of large payments to a Dr. Eris Thorne." I dug deeper. He's not a medical doctor. He's a disgraced biochemist. His specialty, botanical neurotoxins. My blood ran cold. Botanical. Marcus said, "And look at this. Jade's credit card bill, a monthly delivery from a specialty nursery. Oleander grandiflora, a rare, highly toxic variety of oleander. The symptoms of poisoning, nausea, vomiting, cardiac arrhythmia. It mimics a heart attack, and it's virtually untraceable after 48 hours. It was all there. The motive, the means, the opportunity. She had murdered our father. The grief was a physical pain, but the rage was a focusing lens. My revenge was no longer about an inheritance. It was about justice. "We have everything we need." Marcus responded almost. "We need to catch her in the act. We need to make her confess." I knew exactly how to do it. The stage was set for the artisanal line gala, the biggest night of Jade's career. It was time to rewrite the finale. The gala was held at Willow Creek, my home. Jade had transformed the grounds into a dazzling spectacle. Lights, music, a who of the city's elite. She was in her element, holding court in a stunning gold gown, the picture of success. I watched her from across the lawn, Isabelle's cool detachment a thin veil over Sienna's boiling fury. The plan was in motion. Marcus was in a van nearby, controlling the audio-visual systems. I had planted small listening devices in the conservatory and Jade's private study. The evening began with speeches. Jade took the microphone, beaming. Jade said, "Welcome, everyone, to the dawn of a new era for Reed's Pantry. A return to quality, to authenticity." The crowd applauded. It was my cue. As the creative director, I was to present the new marketing campaign. I walked onto the stage, the massive screen behind me. I smiled at Jade. "Thank you, Jade. You're right. This is about a return to authenticity. So let's start by being truly authentic about the past." I clicked the small remote in my hand. The screen behind me changed from the Reed's Pantry logo to an image of the forged will, with a forensic analyst's report superimposed, highlighting the inconsistencies in the ink and the pressure of the signature. The crowd murmured in confusion. Jade's smile didn't falter, but her eyes narrowed. Jade asked Isabelle, "What is this? Some kind of tasteless joke? The only joke, Jade, is the one you played on your dying father. The one you're playing on all of us." I clicked again. The screen split. On one side, the embezzlement records, her shell companies, the Cayman account numbers. On the other side, photos of her extravagant purchases, a private jet, a yacht, all while she claimed the company was struggling and had to fire loyal employees. The murmuring turned into a roar. Reporters in the crowd were now filming frantically. Jade said, "These are lies, forgeries. Security seized that remote." Then I told her the forgeries are yours, sister. Then I did it. I reached up, pulled the pin from my chignon, and let my natural, honey-blonde hair fall down. I took off the glasses. "My name is not Isabelle Laurent. It's Sienna Reed." Gasps exploded through the crowd. Jade's face was a mask of pure, unadulterated shock and horror. She took a step back, as if I were a ghost. Then I told Jade, "You stole my home. You stole my father's company. But that wasn't enough, was it, Jade? You had to steal his life, too." I clicked the remote one last time. The screen showed the chemical structure of oleander toxin, a photo of the plant in her conservatory. And then the audio began to play. My father's voice, weak and betrayed, filled the night air. My father said, "I feel unwell. She brought me tea. She never brings me tea." The recording ended. The silence was absolute. I looked directly at Jade, my voice dropping, but the microphone picking up every word. Then I told her, "You didn't just inherit his fortune. You murdered him for it." Chaos, absolute, beautiful chaos. The crowd was on its feet. Jade was screaming, a raw animal sound of rage and defeat, denying everything, but the evidence was irrefutable. As the police moved in to handcuff her, I walked to the edge of the stage. She struggled against the officers, her gold dress tearing, her perfect hair a mess. Our eyes met. Jade said, "You bitch, you ruined everything." Then I responded, "No, Jade. I just took out the trash. You thought the quiet, artistic sister would just fade away. You thought you had erased me. But you made one fatal mistake." Jade asked, What mistake?" I smiled, a real, genuine smile for the first time in over a year. "You underestimated the artist. My final masterpiece wasn't on a canvas. It was your destruction, and it's my greatest work." I turned my back on her as they led her away. I had taken back my company, my home, and my father's legacy. The inheritance was mine again. The justice was his. The next day, I stood in my old studio, the portrait of my father finally finished. I had added the knowing quirk to his lips. He looked proud.